Today's topics from Reuters Breakingviews. To bail out Bankia, they'll need to bail out Spain itself, is their view. WPP needs to listen to its investors before deciding a pay deal for Chief Executive Sir Martin Sorrell. And RIP Fund of Funds, death by double fees for half returns. With me is Chris Hughes to talk us through these. Let's start with Spain. Hugo and Fiona in Madrid is basically saying, look, they need to bite the bullet. They need to go full hog now and stop trying to do all these backroom deals.
Well, there's a good argument for doing that, but that's clearly not what they're trying to do. There's, as you say, there's all these, not so much backroom deals, but attempts to be clever about it, you know, by let's try and shore up our banks by issuing them with sort of IOUs, you know, sort of funny money capital. Let's see if we can get our bond yields down with a little bit of ECB bond buying. You know, all of this sort of fancy footwork is not going to provide a proper resolution to the crisis. But you know, if let's suppose the government bit the bullet and went for a full bailout, then the situation will be resolved. And there's a good argument for doing that because there's only a finite amount of money in the European bailout pots. And, you know, from Spain's point of view, leaving aside the wider interests of the Eurozone, from Spain's narrow interest, you know, it's probably more in their interest to get that money before anybody else does. And the government, you know, the government has got some political capital. It's got a big majority. It could, you know, it may feel like political suicide, but, you know, it may be even worse not to do that.
OK, WPP, is it hard to prove his worth? That he's worth his pay, Sir Martin Sorrell?
Well, what do you mean? I mean, look, Sorrell is clearly an instrumental individual within WPP as it's currently conceived. You know, this sprawling ad empire. I mean, he does get around the business and he makes things happen. He kind of is the synergy in this global group.
He's the brand, isn't he?
And so, in a sense, you know, you can say on that basis he's worth multiple millions. And when you compare him to CEOs of US ad groups, well, you know, their bonuses are paid out at a much higher multiple of salary.
But I mean, let's face it, this is a company that's done very well, and the share price has done pretty well as well.
Of late. I mean, it depends on actually how you kind of cut the record. But you know, does that matter in an environment where UK shareholders have got the bit in their teeth and are about to be empowered even more with binding votes on pay policy? I mean, the fact is that whatever the board, you know, conjures up in terms of reasons that Martin Sorrell is worth his big pay packet, you know, they face a big row with their shareholders, which is not a good place to be. So there's going to have to be some kind of budging, you know, before this AGM. Otherwise,
when's the AGM?
It's coming up in a few weeks. I don't know the precise date, but it's pretty imminent.
Okay.
So some kind of movement is going to be required because, you know, if they tough it out this time, next year, you know, as shareholders, you know, really are getting emboldened, and you know they're close to getting this binding vote. The shareholders really will exercise that power. So you know, it's only the balance of power between shareholders and the board here in terms of deciding Sorrell's pay is only going one way.
Okay. Finally, Fund of Funds paying double fees for underperformance ain't working anymore, and this needs to be fixed.
Well, it was always astonishing that investors were so willing to put money in fund of funds on the basis that the marketing picture was, well, you get lower volatility, you get this alpha, you get this outperformance that hedge funds give. But in reality, what happened was that the extra layer of fees in terms of that wrapped around the management of these products ate into returns, and actually the returns weren't that good either. So you were kind of paying for managers to select underperformance. And finally, it's just not working now. Does that mean it's the end of fund of funds? Probably not. If they actually consolidate and find ways of generating real kind of economies of scale and pass on sort of fee reductions to investors, fund of funds might just survive.
Okay. Chris, many thanks for that. Chris Hughes. If you want to watch our US Breakingviews show, that's on live every day at 12:30 Eastern, 17:30 BST. Of course, it's on demand on the Insider platform, the Reuters.com platform, as well as Breakingviews' own website. I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.